Well, let's talk about the new GPX 150 engine. It's also known as the YX motor. Killer Motorsports imports the YX engine as a KMS engine. So let me go a little bit explain what the GPX or the YX or KMS engine is. It's all the same thing. It's made by a company called YX Motors in China. The design came out of Japan, and it's basically a true hybrid engine. It's got a CR85R casing right here with clutch. So the clutch in it's actually a lot better than most Chinese engines, just because it's a super heavy duty clutch. And then the top end here, that's going to be from a KLX 110. You can put a lot of KLX upgrades on this thing and just really unleash the power of these engines without worrying about compromising the internals of this engine, because the quality of the internals is really good. On this engine you can do a couple things. You can put a hydraulic clutch on it, you can put a cable clutch on it. It really doesn't matter, either one really. With doing as much compression as this bike actually has, you're going to want to put either Katako or Takagawa kick lever on it. Basically all Chinese levers suck on these things, and if you get a Chinese pit bike and it has this in it, it has this Kickstarter in it, you're going to want to upgrade to one of these immediately. You run it in between $65 and $95, and but they're real heavy duty. You don't have to worry about it breaking. With the compression that these things put out, kicking it is almost impossible. So you want to make sure that you have a really good kick lever whenever you get this GPX engine. And we'll just talk about what you can really do to these engines. There's a lot of really cool, fun stuff you can do to these engines. This is my custom bike. I've got my custom killer airbrush paint job on here, done by Psychotic Designs, Johnny in Fort Worth. And anyway, so on this engine right here, this is the full Takagawa setup right here. This is the 178 bore with the superhead on it. Gitako also makes a new superhead that's coming out. It's a 4-valve head, so we can't wait to put that on the engines. Basically, what you've got stock is you've got a 150 cc engine, so it's got a 150 cc bore that can be upgraded to a 178 bore. It's the Scud kit by Takagawa, and the superhead. What the superhead does is it's got bigger valves on it, so that allows for basically more output, more pressure to be created throughout the engine with bigger intake and exhaust manifold. You know, you're going to be able to have just a way more power output by this engine. This kit right here, the engine stock with the inner-rotor kit runs about 13.2 horsepower. Without the inner-rotor kit, you're running about 12. So our engines that come to us have the inner-rotor kit installed. GPX do not have the inner-rotor kits installed, at least on like the X4R or the X4 with the 150. On the actual cylinder and the superhead here, when you put this on, this is supposed to add around 7.5 horsepower, 2.5 for the cylinder and 5 for the head. That's the claim, of course, made by Takagawa. We didn't output that much. We got about 4 off the head and about 1.8 off the cylinder on our dyno test. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that goes into actually dyno testing an engine, so it really just depends on the bike you're on, how everything's set up. So, but that was our dyno test. But either way, you're getting a lot of output on the engine. Ours does come with 32mm carb, so you want to make sure you have a good carb on there with the big intake. That way you can maximize performance of your engine. When you put the 178 kit on here, you really have you got a couple pros and cons, because you have to bore out about 1mm on the top of the case and the bottom of the case. And the reason for that is that the piston hits the case, so you gotta bore out the case just about a 1mm on the top, 1mm on the bottom. Then the piston will work on this. If you don't want to have to bore the cases, you can go to the Trail Bikes 160 kit, and it will bolt right on, and of course you can still use a superhead. CHP also makes a pretty good kit for it too. It's a 160 kit with superhead. So far Takagawa has the biggest kit so far. When the Katako comes out, and you get this 178 plus the Katako superhead that's a 4-valve, that'll be about the most it'll be the biggest power output you can put on this engine. I do recommend putting an oil clear kit on here that mounts right here, and it'll mount basically just just right here on the top of the frame. You know, put that on with as much power as this thing creates, as much compression, as much heat's generated. You're going to want to make sure this oil is cooled. So if you get one of these engines, make sure it does have an oil cooler. If you get the Pitster X4 with 150, X4R with 150, or any of our bikes, they do come with the oil cooler, so you don't have to worry about that. If you buy it anywhere else, make sure you do get the oil cooler. I mean, other than that, I mean, this is a really maintenance-free engine. We haven't, I mean, me personally, I've been riding the piss out of this thing for a long time now. I mean, I haven't really had many problems with it. The engine's really good. I do recommend it. You know, if you're going to spend the money on a pit bike, I would at this point upgrade from the 125 or the 110 cc arena, and just go ahead and just go right to the 150. And then that's what I would suggest. If you're looking at buying a pit bike and getting this engine, I would definitely do that. So.